Hey guys, this is a start to a new series of videos that I'm going to be doing every so often. The series of videos will be based on helping people with D&D in general, for both DMs and players. And we'll be starting off the series by talking about stat rolls. So firstly, if you're a DM and you have your players rolling for stats, please ensure that you as the DM are seeing their rolls. Make sure that they aren't cheating and fudging their rolls, to ensure that everyone is playing fairly and no one has an unfair advantage. And maybe even think about letting a couple of rerolls for particularly bad ones. And for those of you who are not aware, there are many different ways that you can handle stat rolling. For example, one of the methods that I'm most familiar with is rolling 4d6 and then dropping the lowest number, and then adding the 3 remaining die to be your attribute value. Now, with this being said, stat rolling has quite a few issues, and quite a few options on top of how you can roll for stats. One of the choices that you have is deciding whether or not that the stat rolls will be assigned in a rigid manner versus a player choice. For example, if you had a fighter and they rolled a 7, 12, 5, 16, 18, and 3 in that order, with the rigid allocation, you have a fighter whose strength and con are 7 and 5 respectively, which means that your fighter is rather frail, weak, and meek, but would otherwise make an excellent arcane or divine spellcaster. But on the other hand, with the players being allowed to choose where those rolls are allocated to, it means that the player who wanted a fighter can still make one, and a pretty good darn one at that too. Another issue with stat rolling is if you have extremely low rolls in certain attributes, as depending what might be fought, it could mean a potential insta-kill. For example, if you have them fight a wraith and they fail their saving throw on the wraith's ability, Life Drain, it can easily bring their con down to 0. Which just means that they're dead right there on the spot. But there's an alternative way to dealing with stat allocation. A thing called point buy, which is a system that allows players to choose their stats based on a pool of points that they can assign to their attributes at will, enabling the players to have similar stats with no one getting bad or lucky rolls. One of the cons to this, however, is that the system that you're using can impact the outcome of your character's stats significantly. And what might have otherwise been a wide variety of characters could otherwise effectively be mediocre clones with no real quantifiable differences and no unique talents. However, the DM can still adjust the point buy parameters as they see fit. And another downside to point buy is that the early game can be significantly easier or harder depending on the starting level of the characters and how experienced the players are. But whichever method you choose, it is always a good idea to talk to your players about what they want, and whether they feel more comfortable with taking the chance for varied stats or more balanced ones. But that's the end of this one. Let me know what you guys think about what I've talked about here, and let me know if you have any other ideas for videos that I could do in the future, in the same vein as this one. But, as always, have a good one.